Hey there, Hi-Fi friends. Welcome to another episode of the Hi-Fi Preschool and Kids Weekly Training Podcast. We are so excited for you to be here, especially because we are talking about something incredible and amazing and the first time ever for Hi-Fi, and that is going to be Game Changer and Hooray Day. My name is Crystal.
Let's go!
That right there.
Oh, sorry, I jumped the gun. I was so excited for Game Changer and Hooray Day.
It's our friend Isaac, and of course we have Kayla, who is cracking up right now at the energy. But again, we are so excited for what this week is going to be. Super duper celebratory, even as we are looking at the idea of brokenness and Adam and Eve disobeying God. It is for sure a heavy story. However, there is so much hope and joy to be found because we get to talk about that Jesus came to forgive us. And we are going to make that loud and clear this week. So before we dive into the content of Hi-Fi for the next week, I want to ask you, Isaac and Kayla, when it comes to celebrating, I'm thinking specifically of birthdays. Why am I thinking of birthdays? Because my birthday is on November 5th, which is coming up really soon. You can email me your gift cards and your gifts if you want to. But when you think about your birthdays and you think about celebration, like what is something that you love to do to celebrate?
Ooh.
Okay, so my married family does birthdays a little bit differently. So like birthdays have always been a big thing for me, but my wife actually loves her half birthday. So we recently celebrated her real birthday, her actual birthday, but we had a little dinner. It was okay. Like we didn't do anything crazy. But when April comes around, that's when like she gets her gift. That's when we go to a nice restaurant. We actually celebrate her half birthday more than we celebrate her real birthday, which has gotten, I've had to get used to it. It took me about 2 years of marriage to realize that she doesn't care about her real birthday, that we actually need to celebrate her half birthday more. So yeah.
Okay. So interesting. So when is her real birthday? What month is it in?
It's in October.
October. Interesting. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Huh.
What about you, Kayla?
So for me, I would say I also love birthdays. I love celebrating, and I am a little annoying in my celebration. I celebrate birthday week. Really for me, sometimes I celebrate birthday month, but birthday week, like every day of the week is a celebration of some sort. And sometimes I will be more low-key and I will just go do something on my own. Mm-hmm. Oftentimes I will often bring other people into it because one day it's just not enough time to celebrate with all the people.
I totally agree.
So I need the week. I need the week to celebrate and eat the cake. I won't eat it the rest of the year, but I want my week to eat and to enjoy and to celebrate. Yep.
Yeah, I totally agree. I love making a big deal of my birthday. Everybody I know knows that about me. You guys know that about me. It's one of the first things people learn about me. It's like, I love my birthday and I do want you to celebrate me and I want you to give me a gift. And so that's a big thing for me for celebrating is gifts. I don't care what it is. I just want you to get me something. Somebody could walk up and give me a balloon and say happy birthday. And I'd be like, oh, thank you so much. You know, like my love language is gifts. I want that physical token that is acknowledging that it's my birthday. And so I think that's really fun. And I know that we've brought a lot of that kind of fun idea and energy into planning Hooray Day and Game Changer. We really thought, how can we make these fourth weeks special? How can we make it something that kids are going to look forward to, and especially that they would want to invite friends to? And that's one of the reasons why we wanted to make it just super duper outstanding, celebratory. And so does one of you just want to share a little bit about like, what is Hooray Day and Game Changer and what makes them so special?
Yeah, so there are a few things that make these days more special. So one of them is the energy during large group. We want to kick that up to 11, maybe 12 if you already have it up to 11 every single week. So we want to kick that energy up. So for kids, there are going to be a few more stage games. So we're actually going to play 3 stage games. There is going to be an intro and outro video. The intro videos are going to get a little crazier, maybe a little bit messier. They're going to be a more high energy. But the thing that we really want to focus on that is different for these weeks is that there is more of a direct gospel message, a direct gospel invitation for these kids, where we're going to break down the 3 circles way of presenting the gospel. We're going to share the gospel with them in an outright, bold way so that they can understand why we do this every single week. It's not just to have fun. It's not just to entertain them, but it is actually to engage them in the gospel. So we're going to take advantage of these special weeks to really show these kids the gospel in an outright, bold, loud way, to show them that Jesus is the game changer, that we can celebrate and say, hooray, Jesus loves me on these special days.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. And Isaac, I would jump in and just say for Hooray Day, it is a little different than what you see in Game Changer. It's still the celebration, but where, if you guys have seen the training video for this month, we talk a little bit more about 3 circles. So if you haven't had a chance to check that out, I highly encourage you to go find some time to watch that, because we really go into the 3 circles a little bit more and talking about how do we talk about that with preschoolers and kids. And when at the preschool level, at kids, we are asking for and talking about like a response, having time for kids to talk about the gospel in their small groups. With preschool, it's a little different. We more lay the foundation of the 3 circles and the gospel. But with Hooray Days, we want to help preschoolers celebrate God. We celebrate so many things, and I think preschoolers really gravitate a lot towards celebration, birthday parties, all of those kinds of things. But we want to help preschoolers understand, especially on Hooray Days, that this is a time where we come to church to celebrate God. And so every single time we have Hooray Day, we invite everyone in the super crew to join us. It's not just a couple of people. Everybody is there. We're all excited. We're celebrating, and we are celebrating who God is in every one of these Hooray Day sessions this year.
Man, I just love that so much. And I think kids are really, really going to enjoy just that celebratory atmosphere that's happening there. You know, one of the things with Hi-Fi is we continue to say we want every kid, every child that comes in to feel like they belong. And there is nothing that helps you feel like you belong than a party that you get to be a part of. Fun and excitement and games, like every moment of that is intentional, all about getting kids to that place where they really feel like they're a part of the team. They feel like they want to be there, because we know then they become more open to receiving the truth that we get to share with them. So this first Hooray Day and Game Changer, though, like story-wise, is a little interesting. Because, again, we're going to make the gospel so loud and clear, and it's going to be a party, and we're talking about brokenness, and we're talking about Adam and Eve sinning and disobeying God. And so, but again, it was a really intentional decision. So can you guys talk a little bit about, like, why is understanding brokenness so foundational to kids truly grasping the gospel?
Yeah, I think this is a really intentional and an important time in the truth of I am forgiven, right? Because kids have just been learning for the last 4 weeks about how they are forgiven, how God forgives them, how he always loves them. And to go from that to how do we transition that into talking about the gospel? And ultimately, we want kids to know even more so, like, you are forgiven. We see all these examples in the Bible of forgiveness, and how God showed forgiveness and how God forgives us, how that forgiveness flips our identity. But it's also really cool to see that in here, in this particular week, as we're talking about how Adam and Eve disobeyed God, that there's a need in their brokenness, and the celebration comes in how we talk about what that solution is to the need. And so we talk about the sin problem that is foundational because we can all see that around us, right? We can all see things aren't the way we want them to be. Things aren't the way they're meant to be. And with kids, particularly, oftentimes we can't make assumptions when they come into our classrooms that they're on the same page about this with us, that they think they need to be forgiven, or that there is sin, or that they need forgiveness. And so I think this is a great place to start, because when we talk about brokenness in general, we're able to point kids to our world around us, and even ourselves and our relationships, how things aren't the way they were supposed to be. And then that's a clear entry into the gospel for us of how God designed the world to be this way. And here is what led to our brokenness. And then we get to bring in the good news of how Jesus came to forgive and to rescue us from that brokenness.
Yeah, I love that. And that idea that brokenness, like there's almost two ways that we look at it and two ways that kids experience it. They're the ones who, like, they've really, really experienced brokenness. Like, there's no doubt in their minds and their hearts that this is a broken world. They've had hard things happen. They have a lot of emotions that they're dealing with. And we get to look at them and we get to say, like, it's not your fault. And it's going to be okay, because there is hope amidst that brokenness. Like, you don't have to pretend. You're not being punished or anything. This is the way that the world is, but there is hope and there is Jesus. And then on the flip side, we have those kids who come, and the idea of brokenness, they're like, what are you talking about? My life is great. Everything is fine. Everything is wonderful. And we get to say, no, actually, it's not. Like, there is brokenness, and you may not always see it. But it's there, and we have a broken need inside of us. But again, there is hope, and that hope is Jesus. And so how even in the midst of talking about brokenness, we have an opportunity to celebrate, because we have an opportunity to point kids to Jesus and to the gospel. And that is just so, so cool. Isaac, I know, of course, you've had such a big hand in helping to craft especially this first Hooray Day and Game Changer. By the way, if you are using kids, you're going to get to see Isaac featured in the Bible story video, which is kind of fun.
Oh, yeah.
But Isaac, like, you are such a high energy leader. Like, that comes across in everything that you do. What, how can we help balance having this be super duper high energy and fun, but also we are talking about something like really, really deep, this need for forgiveness. How would you say that we should balance the high energy with the depth of what it is that we're trying to teach kids this week?
For sure. I mean, this is always such a difficult balance on a weekly basis for in kids ministry, because kids right now are needing an authentic message. And so many times we're saying, hey, we're just going to be really loud, really wacky, but it's not that authentic joy of the Lord is my strength kind of joy wacky. It's kind of this, hey, we're just going to throw it at the wall and see what sticks. But I think really being authentic and, hey, showing where our joy is coming from during this time is going to be super valuable for you as a leader. So maybe if you are the leader up on stage, really saying, hey, this is a story that I have joy. Even in this brokenness, I can have joy because I know about the power of God. I know that God has already done all of these things so that now I can have peace, I can have joy, I can have excitement, knowing that Jesus has already changed the game. And that is where that joy comes from. My joy doesn't come from because I just got up this morning and I'm going to have 3 coffees and it's just going to be crazy off the wall energy. But my joy is actually coming that Jesus has changed the game, that Jesus saved me from my sins, and that now I get to follow him. And I think that authentic joy is going to be so important for these kids. We a lot of times say that this is a great opportunity to invite some people outside of the church to your Sunday morning, to your Wednesday night for these game changer times, because we're going to have a few more stage games, because we're going to have a few more opportunities for them to plug in. So having that authentic joy as you teach is going to be very, very, very important, so that it's not going to come off as just something you contrived, something that is just there to be there, something that's there to honestly be a sales pitch, but this is actually a truth that you want to share with these kids this week.
Yeah, that's great. And I love that thought of encouraging leaders to like, let's spend time this week just really reflecting on our own salvation. Really reflecting on the hope that we have in Jesus, and let that carry us into this next week as we get to lead in Hi-Fi. So, Kayla, anything that you want to add just regarding what we have coming up this next week? I would even say specifically around that idea of like, we're teaching Adam and Eve disobeyed God, but there's still good news.
Yeah, I mean, I think just to reiterate what Isaac said, just matching the tone with what we're teaching, because it's a balance between high energy and high focus. And so there are moments in, particularly in kids, that we're going to have lots of high energy. And then there are going to be moments where we need to bring it down just a little bit because there's going to be a little more focus. There's really one point where we bring it all the way down to have high focus, and then we turn the energy back up. So I think just as leaders, just as you're preparing this week, as you're planning to teach, just be mindful of the energy in the room for your kids. Particularly going from large group to small group. So small group, that side-by-side discovery-based learning and that make the discovery time, like that's when your high focus is going to come in. And so just be prayerful and mindful about where the high energy comes in and then where the high focus comes.
Man, I love that. Thank you so much. Well, everyone, we would love if you feel like it to take some pictures this weekend and post them in our Hi-Fi Facebook group. We would just love to see what this first Game Changer and Hooray Day looks like in the context of your churches. And of course, please plan on tuning in next week. We will be launching a new Simple Truth, and we'll be launching new themes. Next month in November is going to be all about community. We are made for community. God has community for every single one of us. It transforms who we are and how we live our lives. And we cannot wait to share that with kids this month. So tune in, and we can't wait to share with you again next week. Bye.